Good evening all. Hi, how's everybody this week? Everyone's good. Hope you've all had a good week and so happy to see you here. Welcome again. Lovely to see all your familiar faces and welcome anybody who's come for the first time to our community. We do this every week and we bring you a wonderful expert to share some knowledge or a great practice to help you with your own health and happiness. So anyway, I don't know about you, but this week I felt it was a bit of an unsettled week for me. I felt like I was taking one step forward and one step back. And it all kind of related to the news. As soon as we hear some positive news around, say, the rollout of the vaccination or the R8 falling, it's followed by another bad news story, like the danger around the new variant or something else. So those of you who regularly attend these sessions know I'm not a big fan of the mainstream media and especially their headlines that are written specifically to shock or scare us rather than just to educate or report. But at the same time, I kind of feel drawn a little bit to the news because I want to look for those green shoots, like, you know, when are we going to actually come out of this and where's like the emergence of the progress? And then I fall into that whole news cycle and then I'm feeling down. So now I've made an effort to only check headlines once a day because I find it all quite depressing, to be honest. On the travel front, things are dire, as you can imagine right now, with so much uncertainty as to when, especially when we're coming out of lockdown. But I want to share with you that we received a lovely boost this week, which I'm very proud of, and I'm going to share with you. So we won the FIFO Independent Review Platinum Award, which is the highest accolade you can get from FIFO. And it's based on the reviews from our customers. So we won it last year too, but this year it's extra special. As I know the team goes through every day, I know what they go through every day with all the changes, cancellations, postponements. It's not an easy job right now and it can really weigh you down, but they're going above and beyond to put all of the clients' interests first. So I'm so proud of them. And last year, the travel industry had a lot of kind of bad publicity around service levels and people wanting their money back or people wanting to postpone and that kind of thing, because the industry is under severe pressure. So this award is a really big deal for me and the team. And I really want to thank those of you who took the time to give us a good review and help us win it. So there's a nice good news story to start the week. Another thing I wanted to cover before we move into today's session, I sent out a survey today on how we can further develop this Wellbeing at Home platform and all of our events and offerings. And I just want to apologise if you got it more than once. I think I made a mistake. We've got some new software and I may have sent it out. Well, a couple, you may have got it 2-3 times. So I apologise if you did. Just delete the ones that you didn't get, that you got more than once. And can you please spare us 5 minutes to just answer the questions that would be so useful for us? Last time I looked, we had close to 500 people active on the forum site. So I'm really happy people are logging in, but we just want to improve and we want to improve the offering, and we can only do that with your feedback, really, just to make sure everything's relevant to you. I also sent out in the email this week about inviting your friends and family onto the forum, which you can do from your profile. So if you just click on your profile, it's really easy. It just says send invites, and then you can just send that out, and then they automatically get their login and password, because we really would love to grow the community and help as many people as we can. So, okay, shall we start today's session? Yeah. Really excited about today's session, actually, because I was chatting to Zena just before everybody came in, and it's the first time we've done something creative, so I'm very excited about it. Zena, hi, welcome.
Hello everybody, thank you for coming.
Really happy to have you here and join us here. Before we kind of go into the session, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up starting a whole mindful art business, please.
Yeah, of course. And feel free, folks on the phone, to speak up. Don't feel that you've got to listen in silence. I'd much rather it feel like a conversation. So yeah, my name's Zena. I started out in a kind of classic city job, and I'd loved painting and drawing as a child, and for me it was a really important kind of processing tool and a kind of coping mechanism that I relied on. And as soon as I kind of moved to London and started my kind of corporate life, it fell away from me a little bit. I think partly that was down to not having the space in a tiny London flat, and not really having the space emotionally to take that time for me and do the thing that I loved and I valued so much, because we've got such a kind of productivity oriented lifestyle that doing something that doesn't seem obviously productive, it takes some commitment in some ways. So years went past and I had picked up a paintbrush, and it took my mum getting very sick very quickly for my life to change. So I'm sure lots of you have had experiences of loved ones going through cancer, and for my mum it was very abrupt. It was caught quite late, and so it really knocked the family sideways. And I think for me it was that trigger that made me step back and think about the life that I was living and the dreams that I'd always had, and the kind of reality check that you often put your passions off because you think that there's a day coming where you'll finally have time, and realizing that that day's not going to come unless you create that time. And that's where MasterPeace came from for me. So I'd always dreamt of a place where you could go to paint for fun, not a class, not like as formal and outcome oriented as a course, but just somewhere you could go to paint to relax, just to make up for the fact that I didn't have the space or the environment at home. And that just didn't exist for me in London. So I'd had that dream, and the combination of that dream and that reality check made me feel like, you know, you've had that dream, now's the time to give it a chance. There's no better time than now. And that was September 2019. So we had 6 months where it was never a better time to start a business, and then COVID happened. And it was unexpected, of course, because we'd been running 6 classes a day, 6 days a week in our studio in Belgravia. We'd started to get some amazing press. We'd been in Forbes and Cosmo and the Daily Mail and all sorts. It was just really starting to feel like it was coming together, and then like thump, different planet, everything's changed. So we moved very quickly. We moved our classes online, and we launched our art kits. So we now send materials through people's letterboxes to complete paintings of their choice, where we'll hand sketch the piece for them. We'll pick out the paints and the brushes, so they'll get everything they need with a video tutorial recorded online with a professional artist. And in lots of ways, that's been absolutely amazing for us. It was something that we only did to survive, but a bit like this community, like sometimes the things that you do to survive end up being magical in their own right and special in their own right, and things that you want to be doing anyway, lockdown or no lockdown. So that's a long answer to the question.
No, that's great. I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, you create something out of, I think a lot of the time, out of just not knowing what else you can do. That's what we did with Wellbeing at Home. We're like, okay, well, you can't take anybody on holiday. So what can we do to help people? It's just really at that point, you know, you get to that kind of point of desperation, and then you put something out there and it does become magical, as you say. But I just want to take a step back, because going from a city career, which is very safe and and, you know, kind of respectable in inverted commas, to starting a business, which is, and your business is quite unique. I think it was one of the first, or if not the first, mindful studio. I mean, a lot of people don't even know what that means, like a mindful studio. So to do that took a lot of guts. I mean, it must have been quite a big leap for you to go from one point to another. What allowed you to do that? You know, obviously your mother's illness, but what kind of gave you that real oomph to make it happen?
Yeah, it continues to shock me, actually, how much has changed and how much of a leap of faith it was, and how much I probably took for granted in terms of my old life and the security that comes with somebody paying you instead of you being responsible for paying 20 other people. It's just a very different emotional experience at the end of each month. But I honestly, when I look back at the trigger point, I'd had this year where work had been insanity. It was just another level of crazy in terms of the hours and the pressure and like the level of conflict I was experiencing at work and the effect that was having on me personally. And in parallel, I'm doing this thing with my mum. And I reached a total kind of burnout sort of experience. At the time, the doctors thought I was very ill. They thought there was something really wrong with me, but couldn't really work out what it was. And I look back at it and I think it was just burnout. I think my body was just like, wore out. You got to do something different. And it was out of that really kind of difficult time that like I had a very big shift in mindset where it felt very much to me like this isn't really so much a choice, it's something that you've got to do, it's a good idea, it's something you're passionate about. And if painting could have helped me as much as it did during that time, it was at that time I picked up a paintbrush again, and that's really what sucked me out of that period. If painting could be that powerful for me, it's got to be powerful for other people too. And it was around about that time some really interesting research started to emerge, sponsored by the BBC and UCL, which reinforced a lot of the beliefs that I'd already had. And so, you know, when the universe just ushers you along, it was one of those sorts of moments.
Right. So let's talk about this research because it's fairly new, relatively new. This research around how creative pursuits can actually help your mental health. And, you know, I think a lot of people would be surprised with that. There are people who won't be surprised at all, but I think people who just don't have any knowledge about this area would be quite surprised about. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, totally. And the surprise is not surprising for me at all to hear, because for a lot of people, painting and drawing seems really stressful.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't think that they're very good at it, and they have really kind of rotten memories growing up of grown-ups telling them that they weren't very good at it, or whatever the case may be. It's actually very anxiety ridden. And so I do often, the first reaction I get often is it's not for me, I'm just not creative. I find the whole thing very nerve-wracking. But it's our job at MasterPeace to show you a different way. Because for me, it's not so much the what, it's the how. It's how you approach painting that can make it either mindful or stressful.
Because it's kind of it's around creating without this expectation of creating a masterpiece, right? Because I have, you know, I shared with you when I actually used to love art at school. I used to love it. And we're going back many, many years when the teachers weren't as diplomatic and kind maybe as they are today. But I used to really throw myself into the class and really kind of get into it until the report came at the end of the term, and it would be, you know, A for effort, C for achievement. And it just completely reframed my view on art. All of a sudden, I just was not interested in it anymore. I didn't want to do it. I thought I was rubbish. And I just, you know, and that has stayed with me for many, many years. So now thinking about sitting down and creating a piece of art is actually quite intimidating for me. Yeah. Because I think, well, what am I going to create? I'm not very good at this. I just can't do it. So talk us through that, because how can you, I guess there's two parts of it. There's a part about creating without an expectation of it, you creating a masterpiece. It's just the process.
Yeah.
But at the same time, can your methods help us improve?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
So I think the big difference probably, and by the way, that story breaks my heart. It just baffles me that our educators can impact us so negatively, particularly in something that is so inherent in all of us. So creativity isn't something that you're either good at or you're bad at. It's something you have, and it's something that you express, and the role of a good art teacher is to help you find the tools to express that. And maybe you're not technically outstanding at a particular method, but that just means that method's not for you. There'll be some other tool that will help you to express that innate creativity. So I'm sorry that happened to you.
A long time ago. I think they've improved since then with their teaching methods.
So I mean, in terms of what the research tells us about the why is expressing one's creativity useful, I'll talk about that, and then in terms of how to approach that to get that outcome as opposed to the other sorts of outcome, I could definitely talk about that as well. But in terms of the why, I think kind of there's two lines of thought. The one line of thought being in terms of kind of managing one's mood. There are kind of three well-documented outcomes of mindful painting, mindful creativity of any kind. The first is that it can be a really powerful distraction tool. So we, especially through lockdown, we've been left alone with our thoughts more than we probably ever have been. And those thoughts can spiral, and that ruminating negative energy can sometimes feel like it's taken over your mind. And what drawing and other forms of creativity can do is it can be a really powerful distraction tool, where it takes the kind of processing part of your brain and focuses it on something that requires enough attention to push out those ruminating thoughts, but not so much attention that it is in itself stressful. So for lots of us, once we've broken past that initial creative block, which we've talked about for lots of reasons, people have these blocks. Once you've pushed past that, you can access this sort of state of flow that a lot of us might have experienced through, say, a yoga or a classical meditation, or where you've just lost track of time and an hour's passed and that nagging concern hasn't popped back into your brain, and that's such a relief. So that, I guess, is the first kind of well-documented outcome of a mindful creative experience, is that distraction. The second kind of interesting outcome can be that it's a very good processing tool for people. So we live our lives, we have all these experiences, all these interactions, these things happen to us, we put things out into the world, and what's supposed to happen is we're supposed to get a little bit of brain downtime to process those realities and form that kind of personal narrative about who I am, where I'm going, what matters to me. But because our lives are so busy, we don't allow our brains to have that natural processing time, and that is what often for lots of us leaves us feeling quite lost and quite confused and quite kind of powerless in coming to decisions. So where creativity can be helpful is as a processing tool with kind of working through what's going on in your brain and expressing what's going on in your brain. So a bit like a living journal, like how some of us write, and the process of writing helps us thread together what's going on. Others of us prefer to express that with other mediums like paint, and in the subjects that we might paint, or in the approach that we've taken to the painting, or the colours, or the thought process, we're actually working through in our brain something quite meaningful. So I guess that's the second main outcome. And then the third and final one is it can be a really powerful tool for building self-esteem and confidence when you see progress in your work, and when you start to be able to communicate what's in your brain onto paper with less friction, with less resistance. and you see the joy that people come out of the studio with when they've got something they feel really proud of. And that's not to say that it's a masterpiece that they're going to hang on the wall, but it's they're proud of it because it was what they wanted it to be and what they needed it to be. And so that kind of confidence builder is very well documented with beginners approaching creativity for the first time and the lasting impact that has on their mental health. So that's kind of one school of thought. And then just very briefly, just to touch on it, because I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but the other school of thought is the more kind of physiological side of things, where there's lots of brilliant studies on the impact it has on your brain, the impact it has on your physiology. So the process of drawing can have the same physical impact on you as meditation can, in terms of lowering your heart rate, increasing your breath capacity, those sorts of physiological things. So it depends on how your brain works and which of those schools of thought will resonate with you most personally. I mean, for you, when you hear about it, which of the things are the things that make you think, yeah, I could sort of see that. I haven't felt it yet, but I could sort of see.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, for me, it's a little bit of both, because I read some studies around, headlines on studies around how art can help even with offsetting dementia and Alzheimer's, because it creates new neurons in the brain and can increase memory. So that's very attractive to me, because I think about those things. I'm always forgetting things. I'm like, okay, if I can improve my memory by doing something creative, that's wonderful. But at the same time, I love the idea of, a meditative process, of actually creating something through a meditative process. I practice meditation. I'm very into all of that kind of thing. But to think about actually drawing as a form of meditation is very attractive. It's something really good fun. I think for me, the issue is getting over that pathway that has been built, that you're rubbish and you can't create anything, and that's been there for many years around art, and I'm sure for others. Has anyone got any comments they want to share with us? Has anyone had similar experiences to me, or has anyone kind of discovered art? Shirley, would you like to share with us?
Yeah, well, I've worked in the community for 17 years, and I totally, I was a lead artist on a carnival for a local town, and we had a lady who had been involved in an incident involving a sawn-off shotgun. So she came along with terrible PTSD. She just couldn't handle crowds, so she would never get involved with the carnival at the end. But she slowly started to come more often. She came back every year, and then at the age of 61, she graduated with a first-class honours degree in creative writing. And she says that if it hadn't been for coming and working with us on Carnival and being creative and getting back out there and into things, she would be sat in her flat, just, still seeing a therapist and taking medication. And so it really does, help people tremendously. I mean, as you can see, I do a lot of silk painting. People love it. They don't have to be able to draw, they don't have to be able to paint, and it's very kind of that therapeutic feeling. So I've done a lot of workshops with all sorts of ages. Yeah, I had a group of boys with challenging behaviour, and they'd booked me for the day, thinking she'll only be here an hour, and I was there the whole day. They couldn't stop. It was great. Yeah, so I completely agree with everything that you've said.
Wonderful, thank you, Shirley. That's really great feedback. Julie says one technique to get over trying to create a masterpiece is to scribble all over the page first. Then it doesn't seem as though your first mark will be as scary. That's a good idea.
Great idea. We're going to play a few creative drawing games just like that, Julie. That one's brilliant.
Yeah, we're going to do some ourselves in a minute, so that'll be good. Has anyone got anything else they want to share? Has anyone had the same experience as me at school when oh, thank you, Lisa. when they were told they were rubbish, even though you really enjoyed it. Yeah. Okay. Lisa, do you want to share with us?
Yeah, I spent 3 years in art class quietly reading on the table, and that was the agreement we must have come to. And subsequently, I think I can't draw, but I do art therapy in psychotherapy. So it's very, up to us what mediums we use, and then we're looking at it in an interpretive way.
Yeah.
So I nearly, when I heard you first talking, thought I'm in the wrong place because I've got some felt tips here.
Great, amazing,
and maybe some plasticine. So I'm really excited just to think, I'm entering a new door, and I'm loving what you're saying.
Amazing.
Wonderful. Sarah says, little girl in an art class painting a picture. Teacher says, what are you painting? Little girl says, it's a picture of God, but no one knows what he looks like, said the teacher. Well, they will in a minute, said that little girl. Love it, Sarah. Thank you. Brilliant. Love it. Wonderful. Okay, shall we start with our exercises?
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah,
we can have a chat about them afterwards as well. Okay.
Cool. So at MasterPeace, we're a painting school. We're generally teaching acrylic, but we always warm up with pencil and paper. And the idea is to, just like Julia had said, blank sheets of paper are really intimidating, and particularly when you've paid for an experience, you feel a lot of pressure to deliver, and it has to be good, and got to make the most out of my 90 minutes, let's go. And that pressure is quite the antidote for creativity. It's the opposite of what you need. So we'll work with just whatever you've got. If you've got paper, scrap, letter envelopes, pens, felt tips, kids' crayons, anything you can do and anything you can make a mark with, we'll work with. And we're going to play just a few different games. It will be useful to have like an object in the room that you can look at for some of the games. So if you needed to grab something off a table, like a vase or a piece of fruit or any object, now would be a brilliant time. But we will, yeah, bro. Yeah, trainer works. That's great. Got good form. Brilliant. Okay, good. So the first one then, this is a body scan game, and to begin with, all you need to do is draw the shape of like a gingerbread man. So like roughly. So I'm drawing a head. I'm drawing some arms. I'm drawing some legs. And my gingerbread man looks as sophisticated as that, to give you a sense. This is as sophisticated as we need for this game. So once you've got your gingerbread person, male or female, whatever you'd like, once you've got that, we'll start. So this will be a great game for us to pair with the music once we get started. But what we'll be doing is we'll be colouring in our gingerbread person. We'll be working from the head down to the feet, and I want you to colour in such a way that it reflects how that part of your body is feeling today. So if you're feeling like me, I normally carry my tension in my neck and my shoulders, I'm going to be colouring in that really kind of aggressively, chaotically, but say in my abdomen and my hips, I feel quite relaxed. I might use smoother flowing lines, or if you've got different colours available, you might swap out the colours that you've got. So the trick here is not to overthink it, to kind of get lost in it, and listen to the music if you'd like. And we'll just spend, was it about a minute?
3 minutes, a couple of minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna experiment today and play some music while you're doing this. And then God help us in the future, once I get the hang of this music, I'll be playing you all kinds of stuff every week.
If you're done in the first minute, just come back over and maybe annotate it in different ways, add objects, add words, whatever, but allow yourself these 2 minutes to fully embrace this gingerbread exercise. Everybody clear? Anybody need any help before we start? Yes, my love? Lisa? You might need to unmute.
Where's Lisa?
Is it just the head, or are we doing the whole thing?
Head to tail.
Okay.
And you'll adjust your colouring based on how it feels. Cool, ready, steady, and we're away. Does the end of the music signify it's the end of the first game? Yeah, wow, God, that time round flew by. I barely got past my belly button.
We can do another song.
No.
Shall we continue? We can do another one.
Hands up if you didn't finish. 1,
Okay.
2, yeah, a little longer then. We'll just
Okay, let's do another one. Okay. Let's do another piece of music.
just a short
We'll
one.
do this one. Yeah, we'll do this one.
Awesome. Well, thank you for embracing that so wholeheartedly. It was really nice watching you all draw. I'd love to hear some of our gingerbread people's stories. If anybody would feel comfortable sharing, you don't have to share. You can see my gingerbread person if nobody wants to share theirs. Does anybody feel like they want to explain how they approach their gingerbread person? Oh, here we go. You might, very nice. Do you want to come off mute and tell us the story?
Yeah, do you want to come off mute and tell us? I'll ask you to unmute.
Oh, we got some colours going on, Shirley.
Oh, wow.
I can talk about mine if you'd like.
Yes, please.
So I was worried about being late to the session. And so I was being very agitated. So that's why I've got the red here. So I feel very relaxed and calm because I've done a nice walk, but I like to be on time and I hate being late. And I started 2 minutes late. So I was very agitated when I arrived. So that's kind of expresses all the kind of red. And then I'd had a bit of an argument with my grown-up son. So there's kind of red lines here because I thought, why did I bother? Why was I confrontational? I should have just been a bit more kind. So there's the red lines there. And my heart was feeling a little bit sort of sore because my son's 29 and, you know, it's not easy for him being stuck at home with his parents and so on. So all of this area is feeling quite turbulent. But then because I've had a lovely walk and because I teach yoga, I feel very grounded and my feet and my body feels quite comfortable and relaxed. And I've had a lot of greenery. So I was wading in the mud. So I've got the green here at the bottom to express my sort of being in nature and feeling grounded. So from the waist down, I feel fine. From the waist up, there's more turbulence.
That is
Wonderful, wonderful.
Magnificent little gingerbread woman.
Thank you.
Your gingerbread woman looks like a yogi, actually.
Yeah.
Yogini.
It's very stumpy.
Yeah. Anybody else like to share?
Oh,
Randy,
please.
let's unmute you. Can you unmute?
Mute. Hello, everyone. So I was late also because the invitation to the session didn't show what time zone it is. And I'm in the United States in New York, and all it said was 5 to 6 o'clock. And I was not expecting it to happen right now. So I joined late. I quickly got my pencils. I'm not an artist at all. However, my gingerbread is very small. I thought we were going to be doing other things, my gingerbread is, if you can see the speech bubble that I have coming off of it, it says, "I'm feeling good from head to my right leg." Instead of from head to toe, because I'm having some fibromyalgia issues and a lot of pain in my right leg. Yeah. But if you notice on my shirt, if you will, my upper body, it was childlike with stripes and different colors. And even my head is feeling great, but I am feeling childlike drawing. And so that's my representation.
Love that. That is wonderful. And well done for joining spontaneously in the middle of your day when you weren't expecting to.
Randy, and we will put, I thought we put GMT, but we'll make sure for the future it always has GMT on it. So
thank you.
Yeah. But thank you for that feedback. Sure.
Maybe one more? Or are we all covered? We're good. Well, brilliant. Well, very simple little exercise, and at MasterPeace we'll get you to the point where you'll be painting something magnificent, but the starting point is simple, because actually if we don't start to break down some of those fears with coming at a piece of paper and actually showing people what you've done and not being judged and actually being applauded, without a little bit of that, it's quite hard to dive straight into the deep end and be expected to create anything. So that's the first very simple, fun little game. We've got lots more where that came from. Do we want to jump straight into the next one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Perfect. Okay. So fresh piece of paper if you'd like, or you can always work straight over the top of what you've just drawn. Sometimes that leads to some interesting amalgamations of things. So we've just done the body scan. This time round, we are going to be drawing each other. So if if you haven't got your camera on and you could be tempted, now's the time. We'd love to see your faces, but by no means do you need to. We've got plenty of faces to pick between. So hello, welcome, nice to see your face. Yay! Welcome, Lisa. Nice to see you. And Helen, brilliant. So we, as a collection of people, won't judge each other for the masterpieces that are about to happen because we're all in the same boat. So what you're going to do, you're going to pick any face at all, preferably not mine, just because I'll be talking, moving my face a lot. And we're going to sketch them. But the trick is, I want you to use your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, I want you to use your left hand. If you're left-handed, I want you to use your right hand.
You're brutal.
You bet.
You're brutal.
And again, this is so that we all kind of accept that this is not going to be a thing of beauty. It's going to be more of an exercise of looking than it is going to be about drawing, and that's part of the joy of creating. So you'll have about the same amount of time, about 2 minutes. And don't expect it to be good. You're using a hand you've maybe never used in all your life. Any questions? Are we feeling clear? All good? All right, let's do it. I'm going to pin the person who I'm going to draw so that their picture's even bigger on my screen. And I'm going to start. All right. So, left-handed drawing or right-handed, non-dominant hand drawing to be more specific, is a great tool because it engages a different part of your brain to the part of your brain that you're used to using. In doing so, it's meant to be good for your creative energy altogether. So, for example, if you're used to brushing your teeth with your right hand and you don't even think about it, you always brush your teeth with your right hand, it's quite useful to try using your left hand for a week and just rewiring your brain to the way that you normally do things. It's meant to be creatively stimulating. So what were your reflections for having tried that? How did you find your drawings went? Anybody keen to share?
I'll share because I'm actually, we're all sharing. Amazing.
Oh, wow. Gosh, Shirley, lovely work, very bold. I feel like I know who you've drawn as well.
Yvette, let's see yours. That looks pretty good.
Oh,
Can you tell?
Yvette, that's ridiculous.
Is that really with your non-dominant hand? Amazing. James, look at James as well. Is it Jane? Oh, look at that. Amazing.
Oh, that is
so fantastic.
Come on then, Stella, you said you would.
Okay, well, I'm actually just so proud of it that it doesn't look like a complete disaster with my left hand. There you
go. Wow.
Can you guess can anyone guess who that is? Can anyone recognize themselves?
Oh, I would guess Lisa.
Yeah!
Yay! That's a good drawing, hey? If it's recognizable.
I know, with my left hand, I'm really proud. Thank you. You're already increasing my confidence. Amazing.
Guess who? Slightly gaunt. Much prettier in real life.
Yeah. Andy?
Is that Stella?
Only giveaway.
Who is it?
All right, it's you, my love.
Is it me? I don't recognize me. Let me see it again.
That you don't recognize yourself. You're much prettier. That's not the point of the exercise.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I can see myself. Okay. Thank you. Lovely. That was fun. Did everyone enjoy that?
Yeah. Okay, awesome, brilliant. Right, so we'll do 2 more. And then we can check in, we can chat, we can answer questions, and then decide what we want to do, because I've got hundreds of these. But this one will be a bit quicker to do, and this is where your object comes in. So if you did find that trainer that we saw, I think Lisa had the trainer, if you have any kind of object handy, useful to have for reference, you can do this with someone's face again if you've not got anything in the room that captures your inspiration. This time you're working with your dominant hand, and the only catch when you're studying this object is I don't want you to lift the pencil from the paper. I want you to work in one continuous snaking line and just see where that snaking line goes. So you're studying any object, one continuous snaking line, resist the temptation to lift the pencil, doesn't matter what it looks like. And it'll be a bit shorter. So whenever you feel like you've naturally come to a conclusion, just look back up at your camera and we'll know when everyone's done pretty much. Does that all make sense? Anyone, any questions? Snaking line, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay. I love the continuous line drawing because you do kind of find a bit of a flow, and because you can't control it, you're never going to get something that replicates the object. You just stop trying to do that, and you just find that you create interesting shapes that you weren't ever really expecting to. Would anybody like to share? And again, you don't have to, but if anybody wants to. Oh, here we go, Shirley. Brilliant. Nice, Lisa. I can see the trainer. Very good.
Jane, let's see yours, Jane. Come closer.
Ah, beautiful.
Very nice.
Shirley, was that a real dog or a... Ah, brilliant. I was going to say,
is that a piece of fruit?
Spinning image, that.
Yes, it is, yes. An apple.
An apple, yeah, perfect. And there's another little cuddly toy. We're into cuddly toys, aren't we?
Brilliant, well done. What about you, Stella? Did you want to share?
Oh, yeah, okay. That's my glass of
water. Good form. Very good. Very good perspective.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Keep telling me. Yeah. So the whole thing again. Explain that around this, the snaking, not lifting that hand off. What is that? Is that more meditative? What's the?
I think so. I find that you can much more easily relax into it because it's very apparent quite early on that you can't control it, and at least you've got the comfort of it being your dominant hand. And you do often get some shapes that are absolutely gorgeous. Like you've probably seen lots of art that's like a very elegant line just of a female form, and in just that one sweeping line, you know exactly what you're looking at. So if that resonated for you, that could be a tool that you use in the future, just trying to express something through simplicity rather than complexity. So we'll do one more and then we'll kind of check in. So this last one, there's no catch, there's no rules. You can use your dominant hand. You can lift your sketch freely, sketch however you want to sketch. But the ask is to draw something that represents your one wish for 2021. So your one wish for this year. If you were going to draw it, manifest it in a drawing, what would it be? And you can draw it very literally, or you can draw it a bit more symbolically. So if it's a way that you want to feel this year, or a thing that you want to achieve or get, or not do or not feel, drawing it either literally or more expressively, symbolically. Does that make sense? About the same amount of time. This is not something you'll have to share, so make it as private and as sensitive as you like. If you want to share at the end, you're very welcome. Everybody feel clear? Yeah? Okay, let's do it. Brilliant. Well, last exercise, I think it's quite nice as a way to check in with what's actually important to you today in terms of your wish for this year. Might be something completely different tomorrow. But I don't know if anybody would feel comfortable sharing it. You absolutely don't have to. This one's a lot more personal. I'll share mine if nobody wants to, but you're warmly welcome.
Lisa? No?
I feel like she was teasing us.
Are you teasing us?
Oh, Shirley. Oh, and Lisa. Right.
So I'm in a fountain and the ocean, which I go to the ocean every day, so I'm very lucky. And I'm getting energy and I'm giving energy. And then I can't move my legs often, so I've got nice moving legs. So that's something I'm working on this year. And maybe a bit of fashion here. You like back. And to dress up. I like dressing up. So, and there's my family, my son and my partner. Yeah, just lots of energy, but it's kind of coming from within. I just want some nice quiet time and good nutrition.
That is
beautiful. Thank you.
Well done. And Shirley, I feel like yours was maybe a flower themed. Or...
I've got, it's kind of, I decided to colour it in after I'd scribbled it all over it in black, but so you can't really see the colours, but it's really about my reconnection with nature and just kind of like filling my life with sunshine, really, and just feeling, I've been doing a lot of meditation and today I did a bit of meditation, so I'm probably feeling very calm.
Good. Beautiful. Very vibrant.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? No?
There we are, Lisa. Another Lisa.
Unmuting. I want to share my idea rather than my drawing. My drawing's not that remarkable. But my idea is peace, love, joy, happiness, healing for the world, not for me, but for the world and for nature and Mother Earth.
Well, I think it's going to do with that. Bloody hell.
I tried to draw, but oh dear, that's not.
Oh, I'm sure you can do something. Remember, no expectation on that. Beautiful. What a beautiful idea. Lovely. Anybody else? No? I'll share mine. Oh, Julie. Oh, yeah. Come on then.
Come on.
Beautiful flower.
You'll have to unmute, Julie.
I don't know whether you can see it.
Yes.
But basically similar to what the others were saying. So here you've got, there's a heart here, and then the circle goes around the heart because I want to be joined up with the people I love again. So that's my parents and my family. And then it's a flower for nature, but it's also like got little soft lines expanding off freely, and then the stem's really grounded.
What
beautiful. Well, you're a creative lot, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got everything on one page.
Yeah, cool. That's a nice.
So I've kind of got Lorraine. Lorraine, I drew earlier. I don't know whether she thinks she looks like her. My gingerbread man, which is quite horrific because I've had a bad morning. And then my vase, which was not lifted off the
Wow.
Wow.
That's impressive.
You should sign and date it and tuck it away, and in a year you'll look back at it and remember exactly what was going on for you on this day.
And what you've given to us, so thank you.
So finally, mine's not so beautiful as the others, but mine is like this heart. It seems to be prevalent in everybody's drawing. So I think we're a heart, and this really suits what I want to share here. So this is like, I want to build a heart-centered community. Yeah. And so here is the community and the heart's in the middle. And that's all of you. So thank you for being part of that. I haven't managed to draw all of you, just little faces, but just like all coming from the heart and supporting each other, helping each other. And just being there for one another through these times. I think this is what it's taught us, really, just to be able to connect with each other, even if it's just online, and help each other as much as we can. So thank you for being here. Zena, thank you so much. I want to ask you one question before we wrap it up, because I know you have like a kind of a ritual when you're doing your art.
Yeah.
It's almost like setting yourself up for your meditation. Can you share that with us, please?
Yeah, for sure. So it takes quite a lot for me to paint. Like, I can't just on a whim just sit down and knock something out like some of the artists on my team can do. I don't consider myself a professional artist at all. Got a big team of artists, and they might be sat in a class, and in 20 minutes their doodle is magnificent, and I just don't work like that. I need an afternoon where I'm feeling quite like I've got that time set aside, shut the door, beautiful music playing, little nibbles, something to drink, and just an hour or 2 hours to focus and really do it. And I try not to worry too much about the subject matter. And I try not to worry too much about the actual drawing part, because I'm not very good at drawing at all. I'm a much better painter than I am a drawer, which is why all of our art kits come hand drawn by an artist for you, because once the drawing's done, the painting bit's actually really intuitive, and then you come away with something that's really impressive. But if you don't have the drawing right, and it's actually quite technically difficult to get a good drawing, then the painting will always feel like it's struggling because it's resisting a drawing. So we use some technology at the studio for beginners where it's almost like a little projector. It's projecting the photo that you want to paint onto your canvas. So if you imagine the canvas lights up with the image, you're basically just tracing the initial outline, and once you're happy with that, you can switch it off, start painting. So I work that way, and that just means that I can bypass the bit that I find stressful and I'm not technically good at, and get straight to the bit that I find really relaxing, which is the color blending, the color application. For me, that's what does it. So yeah, that's my ritual, but all the artists are a bit different.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that you make it into an event, you know, like you kind of sit there and you get your nibbles and you get your drink, and so you don't have to keep leaving the room and distracting yourself, because that's what I do. I go, oh, I'm just going to go get some water. So I kind of distract myself from doing the actual thing. Just to round it off, because what we're going to do, I don't know about the rest of you, but I have ordered, I did it last time in lockdown, I ordered one of these kind of paint by numbers jobbies, and I looked at it and I never even opened it, because it just, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't focus on it. It all just looked a bit too complex, and there were these tiny little, and I was thinking, how am I going to paint in there, for God's sake? So anyway, Zena, what we're doing with Zena is that one of her artists, what we're going to do is a special kit for us, and one of her artists, we're going to do a masterclass, and one of her artists is going to come on live, so it's not going to be recorded, and actually paint with us and guide us in the masterclass, and we're all painting the same thing. Is that have I explained that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll draw it out for you. We'll pick out the paints and the brushes, and you'll just be able to paint along with us. And yeah, we'll get a beautiful result, and it will feel very relaxed, and zero pressure.
Cool. So what we'll do is, when we get all that together over the next week or so, we'll send you that, and if you want to be part of that, then we'll share that link, and then you can book your place on that. And they'll send you the kit. There's going to be a cost to it, obviously, because they have to send you the kit and all the paints and all the things that you need to draw. But if you want to be part of that, then please join us. I'm really excited about it, actually. So thank you again for being with us today. It was like wonderful. I hope everyone enjoyed it. It was very different, wasn't it? And it was a lovely experience actually doing that. And hope to see you again, Zena. Hopefully you'll join us another time and do something similar or a little bit different. Everybody, thanks for joining. Have a wonderful week ahead. Stay off the news. I say it to you because I'm actually saying it to myself. Yeah. Stay off the news. I'm going to stay off the news. And looking forward to seeing you next week. We'll be in touch with the subject matter soon. I'm hoping that it's going to be well-being practices at home. So like if you're working from home, actually specifically if you're working from home and you're at a desk, what you can do to actually help yourself feel better and have the best practices to not get too burnt out at home, because I know that's possible too. So thank you all. Have a great week. Thank you, Zena.
Nice to meet you. Wonderful group of ladies.
Yeah, they are wonderful. They really are. And see you again soon. Bye. I'll play you out with some lovely music since we're all in the music scene now.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.